Hello and welcome to Strive Defense Dialogue. It's my great pleasure to invite Jal Dushyant Singh back to the channel, sir. Sir, welcome to Strive channel after a long gap, sir.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with Strive.
Sir, today we will talk about Pakistan-China relationship. As you are
Yeah,
aware, sir, in last few episodes we have done an episode on US and India relationship. We have also carried out analysis of elections and how US may prop up Pakistan once again. But one thing is that China and Pakistan, ever since 1962, their relationship has gone through all rough weathers and continue to be in the same state. Now, so today, sir, I'll request you to tell us about this. What is this situation, and what is there for India in this? So, before I invite you, I have a small little presentation to set the stage, sir.
yeah.
Sir, Pakistan is the topmost importer of Chinese arms. This is the figure which gives the trend, sir, with almost 38% of the total arms which are produced in China are being imported by Pakistan, followed by Bangladesh, Myanmar, Algeria, and Thailand. CPEC, we are aware, China has invested almost $60 billion in CPEC. Logic seems to be there, but any time that you carry out any investment, you do carry out a background analysis. It seems that CPAC is almost doomed. I'll request you subsequently to tell us the present status of CPACs. Sir, as Israel functions for USA in the Middle East, can we say that Pakistan is China's Israel in Asia? Now, this is the trend that we are now looking at, the way USA is using Israel, similarly, China is using Pakistan. Like I was saying, sir, any company which goes in for investment, it carries out something called PEST analysis, wherein P stands for political. Now, if we see, probably Pakistan politically and economically seems to be the most unstable nation as of today. S, which stands for socials, the society is a problem. There are ethnic faults, there are inter-provinces problems, there are interpersonality problems, there are inter-institutions problems. So there are hell of problems there. Though it says technology for T, I will substitute it for terrorism. So almost 45 recognized terrorist groups are lurking around in Pakistan. They
Yeah.
have already targeted Chinese facilities, Chinese workers. Sir, when a company goes in for such a big investment, doesn't it realize, or was it overconfidence of China that they went in and invested in Pakistan? They continue to invest. Very interestingly, there's a Spanish saying which comes to my mind. He says, "Raise crows and they will gouge out your eyes." I hope it is
Hmm.
not going to become a case like that, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
over to you to please clarify all these, whatever I have said so far.
Thank you, Rakesh. I think you beautifully put the relationship between China and Pakistan. In fact, there was a saying long time back between. We can take off the slide if required. Yeah.
Yes, I
Uh,
yes.
between a long time back, there was a saying about China-Pakistan relationship that it is a relationship which is higher than the Himalayas and the deeper than the oceans, which
Sweeter than honeys.
yeah, and sweeter than the honey. So these are the phrases which people have used for defining what China-Pakistan relations are, but there is more to it than what these phrases indicate. Why these phrases have come up is because of various factors which the Chinese have to consider in today's global geopolitics, right? So what I will do is I'll first try to give you a very brief look into what China is today and why it has become like this today, right? So that we are aware of the backgrounder, that why China is behaving the way it is behaving. Okay, we will not go to the Nixon era, etc. We'll keep ourselves to the various factors which have been at play in the last 2 3 decades. So I'll do this through a very short presentation about what China is today, and from here then we will take off to the questions which you are asking, right? So let me add this to the presentation. So what I'm going to basically focus on is what is the China Park partnership, how long is it going to last, and in what form it will last, right? Will it be a kind of a chalta hai a relationship, or will it be still, the phrase which says higher than the Himalayas, deeper than the ocean? That we will come to a conclusion as we end our presentation. The first issue which I want to highlight is that China today, no doubt, is the one of the largest economies in the world, second largest economy in the world if you look at it from the nominal GDP. But if you look at it from the PPP perspective, it is the largest economy in the world. There is no doubt on that, right? But still, people are saying that China is now on a decline. Now, number of experts have predicted why the Chinese economy is on decline. I was reading an article written in the foreign post. So where it is where they have highlighted two major factors which are the root cause for why the Chinese are going down the hill as far as their economy is concerned. Because this will explain to you why Pakistan still remains important for them, right? So what has happened is that China had calculated that, first of all, they thought that they have a window of about 30 40 years in which they can do an accelerated growth. And along with that accelerated growth, they will develop the muscle power, military muscle power, hard power, to match the best in the world today. I mean, the superpower in the world today, which is the US, right? But for this, there were two conditions required. One condition was that their demographic dividend should last them till 2030. That means their population should sustain them till 2030, and despite the one child policy. However, that did not happen, and 2030 came very early. In fact, 2030 came in 2015-16. It started showing its teeth. As a result, what has happened? It has got now a aging population. It has got people who are in the bracket where they need social security, they need health security. Now, money for all this will divert the money required for military muscle power,
Mm.
right? As also it will slow down the economic growth, because the work the labor and the manpower required for work is slowly reducing.
Correct.
In fact, now if you go to China in various cities, you find these images which you can see on the screen. हम दो हम दो हमारे तीन,
हाँ.
or maybe four.
Mm.
So you find the parents on the right hand side with three children.
Correct.
And in fact, people are they are saying you can have more, you can have four, five. That is the kind of desperation which the Chinese are facing
Mm.
today, as far as their manpower is concerned, as far as their younger youth is concerned. This is definitely now has become a factor which will keep taking the Chinese economy downhill.
Mm.
The second thing which they did was, whatever profits they were generating, instead of investing in meaningful projects, there was this trend of investing in state run concerns, in areas where the bureaucrats felt that this is going to be good for them. So there was this diversion of the profit away from productive sectors. Like I can tell you, over investment in the housing,
Yes.
and the housing has collapsed, giving less to the people to
Hmm.
spend. These were people's savings which were being diverted towards infrastructure and the hard power, etc. People didn't have the resources to spend.
Correct.
So there is, so what has happened is that the domestic demand has reduced. People are, despite the fact that they are predicting some amount of growth, 3 to
Hmm.
4%, people are cutting cost and saving for now the rainy days. So how will you have growth if your domestic demands are
But
not
sir,
met?
वो आर्टिफिशियली जीडीपी को मेंटेन रखता है ना सर, ऐसी चीजें, इफ यू आर
That's what.
इन्वेस्टिंग
So
इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
correct. So what has actually happened is that in their exuberance to build this
Yes.
superpower kind of an image, they neglected their human capital.
Hmm.
As a result, the human capital today is not in a position. Most of the countries also thrive on domestic demands.
Correct.
In the case of China, it has been always externally looking at it, BRIs, and it has been investing in high risk areas, whether it is Africa, whether it is Latin America, whether it is Asia. Everywhere, the economies have been very high risk
Hmm.
economies, which are bound to fail. And as a result, their BRI has slowed down
Hmm.
drastically. And that will answer your question about CPEC. In
Correct.
CPEC, now they have given it up. They are now looking at salvaging whatever they can out of the CPEC. How will they salvage it? I'll cover it a little later. So if these are the two
Hmm.
major policy flaws in their economic growth model. As a result, what has happened is that they have overall coming down economically. If you're coming down economically, how do you expect to now match up with the
Sir,
ruling
just one
class?
point. Only on those two counts,
Hmm.
do you agree with the statement that India is doing much better? Whatever we are earning, our distribution, our inclusiveness is much more than what is there in
Def-
China.
Definitely, if you look at our financial distribution every year,
Yes.
sector by sector, you will find every sector being targeted in a holistic manner. That is why you find that India has never spent so much on the defense to make to come to a situation where we are struggling for our social welfare. You'll find housing schemes, education, climate, everywhere our expenditures have been there as part of our budgeting process. I
And
won't say that we are doing the best, but definitely we are trying to address every sector and go in a parallel fashion, ensuring that our overall sustainability and stability of the country
hmm.
remains
And
economically.
in addition, sir, our own demand that is within the country, our own
Hmm.
demand is much more than what China has. So this is
Yeah,
another plus point, sir. The others also
actually,
are coming. हमारी तो
that,
खपत बहुत ज्यादा है सर.
absolutely, absolutely. You find that we thrive on domestic demand.
Correct.
Okay, we thrive on domestic demand. If you are giving, let's say, I mean, although some people object to it also, but if you're giving free rations to a whole large section of your poorer people, what happens? They save the money to spend,
Correct. So
and when they spend,
इकोनॉमी में आता है वापस सर.
yeah, it acts as a force multiplier. So there is a balanced supply demand expenditure which is investment which is taking place, as far as in my view, as far as India is concerned, especially in the past 10, 12 years, right? Now if you now look at what has been the next factor which is retarding or which is slowing down the Chinese health, is the over investment on defense, guns versus butter. If you look at their expenditure, last there is an article in Nikkei Asia which is saying that China, after having studied the overall conflict scenario which is prevailing in the world, such as Ukraine war, Gaza, Syria, Houthis, coups in Niger and Gabon, Azerbaijan, retaking the Nagorno-Karabakh region, and Taiwan and SCS, ECS, and activities in Taiwan, its interests in South China Sea and East China Sea. All these factors probably, you know, have conveyed or have created a perception in the Chinese or Chinese mind, Chinese military leadership and the political leadership, that we are now the age of short, swift wars are past.
mm,
Now is the time for protracted wars, like what is happening in Ukraine. 2 years down the line, and you are still going on. 3,000 tanks Russians have already lost. 3,000 tanks, and they feel that now they have to increase their capacity to sustain wars because they have live enemies. I mean, Chinese have live enemies as far as its borders are concerned, as far as its own interests are concerned in South China Sea. It looks at US as an adversary now. I mean, I can definitely tell you, I mean, feel that it looks at US as an adversary at the global level, and India as at the
as
regional
correct.
at the
Absolutely.
regional level. So these two are major factors which play in the mind of the Chinese.
Mm,
Therefore, what they are doing is they are assessing that it is going to be an era of insecurity predicted in the forthcoming years. Globally, the global defense spending, I'm now not only talking of China, globally, the countries across the globe have actually spent in 2023 $2.2 trillion on defense expenditure.
mm,
Huge, half the budget of India almost. Then this is a 9% increase from 2022. The estimates for 2024 are that it will surpass 2023 by huge margin. And why so? Because Chinese are now continuously enhancing their defense spending. For
mm.
last 29 years in a row, irrespective of COVID or anything, they have continuously increased their budget by roughly 5.4 to 6%, which is huge. Today their budget is around 219.5 billion
And
dollars.
add to this the hidden budgets.
Yeah, that's that. I'm just giving you the overt figures, right?
Next.
Figures in the open. PPP terms, $407.9 billion, which is almost closing the gap with the Chinese, with the US.
US.
In fact, experts are saying that it is no longer Russia that is driving the designs of modernization capabilities. It is China.
Mm,
What China is doing, based on that, the others are doing, and that reflects in the way countries around China are spending. Taiwan increased its defense spending by 24.2%
yeah,
last year. Japan, 10.5%, a continuous plan now every year. Russia, although not because of China,
yeah.
but because
Correct.
of its activities
Mm,
which are happening in Ukraine and other parts, Syria, etc., it has increased its defense expenditure to 30%.
correct.
India willy nilly has no choice but to increase its defense expenditure, although we are maintaining some amount of balance between our social sector and other economic sectors vis-a-vis the guns, so guns and the butter dilemma, we are probably handling it slightly better, although come to think, I mean, if you ask a number of other experts, they would definitely say that we need to spend more on defense,
Mm,
despite what is the state of affairs of our economic landscape. Okay, so the question is, what has China achieved by this? Due
mm,
to this lopsided, inadequate expenditure into social infrastructure, social welfare, China today is the third largest military power in the world. It's almost matching the top two. Number one is USA with 0.0699% rating, 9 rating on the GFP index. Russia is just marginally behind by at 0.0702. China is almost catching up with Russia. It's almost
yeah,
at par, 0.0706. So virtually the top three are now neck to neck. and
Hmm.
Russia may slide behind the Chinese next year if you in the next year
Correct.
review.
Hmm.
But look at India, which is at the fourth spot. It is
Large.
0.10. A perfect score in this is 0.000.
Correct.
So just for the audience
Hmm.
benefit, the perfect score is 0.000. Why, right? But India is zero point 0.1. Huge gap
Hmm.
between the top three. But the top three are almost neck to neck with each other. Look at their aircraft fleet,
Hmm.
3,304.
Largest.
Look at their tank. See, we will not go into the quality, etc. That
Yes.
is why they are ranked number two, number three. Tanks 5,000, Navy 300 plus ship, and total assets of Navy are 745. Right? So and they are coming out with these robotics, digital technologies, artificial intelligence. Every sphere they are now on the lead. Of course they are having their challenges of semiconductor chips, etc. That is going on, but I am sure the Chinese are going to surmount those challenges because they are determined that they will have their military power up.
Correct.
People are saying that the submarine force of
Yeah.
Chinese is the big focus. Why they are focusing on submarines and aircraft carriers? I mean, everybody can assess why they are doing it.
Sir.
Submarines and the aircraft carriers are the way to project. I'm talking of the nuclear submarines.
Yes.
I'm not talking of the normal
Diesel
kilo class
also.
diesel submarines. These are nuclear SSNs and SSBNs. They are going in a big way.
सर
They are
ब्रेकआउट कैसे करेंगे सर?
that's a question which is a separate discussion altogether. In fact, I can discuss all that. They need bases,
करेक्ट.
right? And that is where Pakistan comes in,
यस.
right? That is where, I mean, Pakistan is not the only place where they will get the base. They need bases all across the Indian Ocean region.
दैट्स
They
राइट.
need the bases beyond the South China Sea and the East China Sea. In fact, between the northern portion of the Chinese coast and the South China Sea, South China Sea is actually more conducive to submarine operations, etc. Right? But breakthrough is the problem. Yes, that is something which they have to find alternates, and they are finding out. Incidentally, that is why they are going in for, reclaiming islands, expanding their economic zones. Or whether it is justified or not, they care two hoots, because as of now they are trying to uh, basically get the maritime security on. Their priority is maritime security as
Maritime.
of. Okay,
Sir, I had
so
recently read a book on, sorry, sir. I had
go ahead.
recently read a book on China Pakistan Nexus, a very
Mhm,
popular book. I'll just
mhm,
read a not exactly a paragraph, also, a sentence from that book, and
mhm.
I'll request you to comment on that, sir. You have
Yeah,
already alluded, that's why I thought I will just.
yeah,
He says Pakistan coastline can become crucial staging post for China take
yeah.
off as naval power, extending its reach from the Indian Ocean to Persian Gulf and even Mediterranean seas.
Absolutely, absolutely true. You see, the Malacca dilemma for Pakistan, China has always been there, and that is why it is, trying to go through the CMEC, which is the Myanmarese corridor, and the
Correct.
CPEC, which is the Pakistani corridor, which we are talking about. Although both these corridors, as of now, are becoming very, very unstable and unpredictable because of the internal situation which is happening in both these
Both.
countries.
In
Those are
fact,
challenges which
unfortunately,
the Chinese
Myanmar
will.
is unstable. Pakistan
Yeah,
is even more unstable.
more unstable. So both these corridors are currently facing some challenges, and that is what we will discuss in the next uh,
Yes.
slide, and that's where I will end my presentation. See, what about Pakistan? So why is Pakistan so important for China? And because of its importance, it will remain a sustaining and a lasting relationship. Firstly, it's a fact that internally Pakistan is on the verge of collapse if you look at it politically, if you look at it economically, and if you look at it from a security perspective. In
Correct.
all these three perspectives, we're not going, that's a separate, altogether discussion which we have had for the last few programs which you have tackled. So we'll not repeat those things. Essentially, what has happened is Pakistan has become a state where the central authority is losing its grip on the peripheries,
Hmm.
be it Baluchistan, KPK, Gilgit Baltistan, or POK, to some extent, even Sindh, right? But primarily, in order of priority, in order of susceptibility, I would put Balochistan, KPK as the priority number one areas which are now threatening to be almost independent of Pakistan. Then you have Gilgit Baltistan also in equal measure. But
Hmm.
the advantage which the Pakistanis have with Gilgit Baltistan is the huge presence of the Chinese on that side. So therefore, if something happens in that area, I think the Chinese will willingly get into the picture, and that will become a tripartite
Yeah.
issue between India, Pakistan, and China. That is an issue which is very very sensitive even for India. Now, but what are their strengths? Why they are still sustaining? Why they are still hobbling along?
Hmm.
This is important. Geostrategic location. It makes it dear both for US and China. Today, if you look at US, it does not have a foothold in Afghanistan. It is at
Correct.
loggerheads with Iran, with
Correct.
Central Asians under the Russian influence. With the Chinese, they are almost on an adversarial
Hmm.
position. So, where is the control on this region? So, willy nilly, the US has to remain invested in Pakistan. So, that becomes one big strength for Pakistan to keep on surviving, keep on, tottering along. You
Hmm.
look at China. We just discussed, and you read the one liner from the book which you had read. China dilemma is breaking out from the 10 dash line, 11 dash line, whatever you want to call it,
Whatever.
because they keep adding lines as per their whims and fancies. So
Correct.
so that is a big dilemma as far as China is concerned. Hence, Pakistan becomes important for it to have a presence in the Arabian Sea, and from there on to the Mediterranean, and also subsequent substantive presence in the IOR. The Chinese need bases,
Hmm.
and bases does not mean that now that they've got a friendly government in Maldives, so they can
Ah,
create a base there. No, base means the country where they are having the base must be able to defend the base.
correct.
Does Maldives have the capability to defend the base?
Hmm. For
They
that matter,
can't.
Djibouti, sir.
That's right. So they can't.
Hmm.
They can only have that base if the Chinese themselves go and occupy Maldives.
Correct.
Can they do that?
Hmm.
Internationally, will not the others rise up in arms?
Hmm.
So they can have a staging area at Maldives, fine. But can they have a base there? Is something with India sitting so close to Maldives. Will that be allowed? I mean,
Correct.
one ship which was going toward Maldives, and we all made
Yeah.
such a such a noise over it that ultimately it had to pipe down. So
Correct.
similarly, the case with Sri Lanka. So
Hmm.
therefore, basing is an important weakness of China,
Hmm.
and hence Pakistan becomes very very important because Pakistan has the military muscle. It is the ninth power in the world
Yes.
as far as military ranking goes, and therefore it does have enough muscle to
Hmm.
protect the base, and hence the importance of Karachi and Gwadar.
There is a talk of putting a wall around Gawadar, sir.
Yes. So,
China is
so although
requesting
although
Pakistan,
although
though it's
Gwadar
not.
port has not fully developed, I mean there are
Yes,
some technical
that's right.
problems also. People are saying, I'm not that well aware of it. I mean, a naval experts, the maritime experts would be able to throw much greater light on that. But what I'm trying to say is, it is Pakistan is a strong military power and has the capacity to give them that
Yes,
jump start in the Arabian Sea and uh, Indian Ocean region, Western Indian Ocean region. Then this phrase higher than the Himalayas and deeper than the ocean stems from this,
correct.
because they also know that Xinjiang is a
Yeah,
province which is important for China, but has the susceptibility of Islamic radicalism there, which can only be prevented if it has foothold in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Hence, Pakistan becomes more important for the Chinese. Similarly, for the US, it's a gateway, which we have just discussed to influence over the region, have a overwatch over China now. Earlier, in the earlier part, it used to be overwatch over Russia.
Yeah.
Now it is overwatch over China
We
and
can
Russia.
we can even add, sir, backdoor entry into China was through Pakistan.
Yeah, you can
It
add
can
add that. You can add
ये
that.
ये ये अभी भी हो सकता है सर.
अभी मेरा मेरा मानना है कि आई थिंक बोथ साइड्स आर नाउ conscious of the fact that they are adversaries,
Hmm.
right? So that they will start playing games only.
Hmm.
I
I
don't
think
think there'll be any
we've
at the last minute as
we've
far as
lost connection,
semiconductor.
sir.
Hello.
Sir, I'll request you to repeat, sir. We had lost connection, sir.
What I'm saying is that going back to the Nixon era, I
Yes.
don't think so. I don't think
Hmm.
so. But some amount of adjustments in trade, etc., possible. But military cooperation, unlikely. Reason being, why do you think they withdrew the semiconductor support to China,
Hmm.
especially in the 5 and below category of nanochips?
Hmm.
This is the reason that is going to impact the military grade equipment, right? So therefore, I think the Americans will play very safe. They also know that the Chinese have come almost close to them. The dollar will be threatened. Number of issues are there involved, because of which I don't think the US and China can go back to the Nixon or Kissinger era. That's it. They will in fact use Pakistan, hold in Pakistan to get back at China.
Yes.
The CIA
Possible,
will
sir.
be probably overactive in these areas. Okay,
Hmm.
so it's an alternative to Malacca base. I've already discussed about it. China lacks bases. This also I have discussed.
So,
Navy, Pakistan Navy is capable of defending these bases wherever they are. They are capable of defending Karachi and also sources of natural resources and real estate. Pakistan's real estate, especially I'm looking at, Gilgit Baltistan and the Gwadar area, etc. Like what they did in terms of Sri Lanka, 99-year lease.
Hambantota,
It's
sir.
not a giveaway. It's not a giveaway. It's a lease,
Yes, it
but
is.
use it for your own purpose. And Chinese have an expansionist design. They are
Well,
a revisionist power, right?
just on,
So
on the lines of Hambantota, if it happens in Karachi, sir.
possible. That's what I'm saying. Not in
Uh,
Karachi. I
uh,
think it will be. See, Karachi port has become totally commercial port. So there
that's
it is
correct,
very
sir. So that much of
there is very
military value
difficult
is not there.
that much. Whereas they will have to develop Gwadar into a kind of a military, because it also gives them access to Persian Gulf,
Persian Gulf, correct, sir.
which is very close to the Persian Gulf. Okay, then uh, uh, check on India at the regional level. Who's better than Pakistan with 45 terror
Okay.
groups floating around in Pakistan? I mean, he
So,
doesn't even have to spend a penny.
hmm.
Pakistan will be more than willing to do the boarding of China. And finally, Pakistan is an important peg in the anti West alignment which is emerging, which is North Korea, China, Pakistan, Turkey, Russia, all this Central Asian, some Central Asian republics, they are not actually anti-West, but willy-nilly they will have to be part of this alignment, or at least neutral. So therefore, it is now a very important peg in this kind of a, two alignments which are emerging across the world, globally across the world, geopolitically.
Hmm.
Okay, so with that, I would like to finish my presentation and
Sir,
say that
on whatever you
Pakistan,
have said, sir, I have few additions and few questions, sir.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in
go
a way,
ahead.
can I summarize it by saying that Pakistan is central part of Chinese ambition to become a regional, from a regional power to become a global power? Is Pakistan
I
so
would I would
important?
s- I would say it may not be central to it, but it is definitely a very important factor in China's ability to expand its power projection, right? And its influence across the globe. Russia is needed by China. Russia is needed by China. If you look at the, I mean, I'm doing a mathematics now. I'm not even going to, chemistry. I'm not going to chemistry. Chemistry can turn the mathematics
Correct.
on its head. On its head.
Hmm.
So we will not discuss that purely from a mathematical perspective. If you add the global ratings, global firepower ratings of Russia, China, and Pakistan,
Correct.
they cross the US, India, and
Yes.
the South Korea. Roughly, I mean, they get a parity, but ability of South Korea to power, I mean, to actually exercise its power beyond its domain is
Hmm.
very limited,
Yeah, that's
right?
correct.
See, UK, for that matter, would be a much greater asset in this alignment.
Hmm.
UK and France. So,
Sir,
so the Chinese need Pakistan to balance
हाँ.
the overall global military balance.
सर ये चाइना हमेशा रोग नेशंस को सपोर्ट क्यों करता है सर? Whether it's North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, I mean,
Uh,
from the
Sometimes there are two factors to it. Sometimes you see you get support from people who are like you only, no?
um,
So if you are a authoritarian regime, if you are a, I mean, how do you where do you put Xi Jinping? Is he a democrat
hmm,
or is he authoritarian? So
correct.
you take I mean anybody who's on that block on that side, Iran,
Hmm,
you take Turkey. So these people are representing some kind of a uni polar government in their
yeah.
countries, and so therefore and also secondly the Western Alliance by far is the older alliance, much more deep rooted in their support with each other.
Hmm,
So it becomes, and they have the democratic ideology as their backup. So therefore, democratic ideologies always appeal to people more than autocratic or authoritarian
hmm,
ideologies. So therefore, they will only get support where there are people of a similar nature.
hmm.
So North
Sir,
Korea, and
hmm,
second thing which the Chinese like smart businessmen wanted to
hmm,
or want to invest in high risk areas because the economic principle is high risk, high gain.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Sir, my next question is, uh, China, I'm sure, must have invested after doing a study into Pakistan, whether it is investment when I'm talking about is diplomatically, politically, economically, mostly
Yeah.
economically.
Yeah.
And he thought probably his weight of his economic and military and diplomatic might will
Hmm.
change Pakistan's behaviors. Other than not criticizing Uyghur Muslims, Imran Khan, when he was asked, he just said that he's not aware of the situation in Uyghur. They are killing Chinese workers. They are putting fear of in Balochistan. Of course, we know that Balochistan is not Pakistan, but even in other parts of Pakistan, Lal Masjid happened at the insistence of China. तो ये पाकिस्तान की जो आइडियोलॉजी और फंडामेंटलिज्म है ये ट्रेड से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है क्या सर अगर क्योंकि ट्रेड और पैसा उधर से आ रहा है तो दे हैव कंप्रोमाइज ऑन व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन सिंचिया
See, I would not put it as simple as what you have just described. See, there are a lot of dynamics which happen in a country which probably are not in the control of the policymakers also.
हाँ ये भी
That is one issue.
हम्म,
The second issue is that big powers, tend to play double game.
Correct.
And I'll give you an example now here. Uh, you see the situation in Myanmar.
Hmm.
It's in a flux. People are at war.
Correct.
Rebels are at war with the Tatamadaw. What is
Hmm.
China doing? China is supporting both.
Both.
It is going into alliance with MNDA. It is also
Yes.
supporting the Tatamadaw. And the reason for that is the Chinese have always played their game assuming that what may happen tomorrow, they are not sure.
So
So if
whosoever
the
is in power supported, sir.
so they would like today they are now deeply involved with Taliban. In
Correct.
fact, they have
Yes,
almost given permission to open the embassy in China.
that's right.
So what is this? This happened because
Chinese embassy
even
is
when
already ambassador was welcomed by the Taliban leaders, sir.
correct, correct. So
In
so so
fact,
what I'm
ये
saying is
भी
that
एक मेरा point था,
they
sir.
are
If I may,
yeah,
if I may add, sir,
yeah,
that probably initially, if you recall, sir, China was mediating, between Taliban leaders and Pakistan. They had called and saying.
yeah,
Probably
absolutely,
now
absolutely.
China has realized that Pakistan की के बस की बात नहीं है तालिबान को कुछ sort out करने का. So that's why
Correct.
they decided to take on. So here the point I was trying to make is कि पाकिस्तान का एक और cross हो गया in one more form where they actually wanted कि it will control Afghanistan. So probably एक negative और हो गया.
See, Pakistan ki, I told you, that the strengths which are there, they are overpowering.
हाँ,
And the amount of investment which they have already done in Pakistan, they cannot just,
they
withdraw from it,
छोड़ नहीं सकते
losing
sir.
so much
Correct.
of their losing so much of their investment in Pakistan. So Pakistan and China have gone into a bear hug.
Hmm. Correct.
So both have the clause
Sir,
against each other.
correct. Sir, we'll take on the
Okay.
questions now, sir. Sir, there
Yeah,
are
yeah,
few
go ahead. Yeah.
questions which we have already covered, sir, but I will
Yeah.
still flash. Is
Hmm.
Pakistan paid servant of China, sir?
Uh, it's a vassal state, paid
Uh,
servant, all these things are there. You see, Pakistan has no option
correct,
other than China. China remains Pakistan's number one uh, hope of support.
correct.
So it has to do the boarding of what China does. But it is playing its game a little smartly because the army is in the driving seat. So they are
Yes.
they are kind of taking the meat from both US as well as China in a manner that they don't trespass or step on the foot of each other.
Sir Pritam Sai, ask if Balochistan becomes independent, then the geostrategic location of Pakistan will go to Balochistan.
Sure, but
Connectivity.
Balochistan to become independent must have huge international support, which as of now it does not have. It does not have that kind of a support to become independent. You see, Bangladesh was created on the back of a big country like India backing it, India supporting it. India could
Three
have
sides,
defended
three
it.
sides we had common borders.
Yeah.
Balochistan
So,
has
so
none.
Balochistan has Iran, which is not very
But then
friendly
again,
because
उनका अपना problem है बलूचिस का, sir.
because Balochistan's demand is Greater Balochistan,
Correct.
and Greater Balochistan includes Iran, includes portions of Afghanistan, includes
Correct.
portions of KPK.
Correct.
So it's a very
Correct.
complex situation. What we are trying to say is that it even if it cedes, even if it
Hmm.
cedes, it will be some kind of an arrangement which is still overlooked by one of the neighboring countries of this particular area. It will not really, but yes, geographic advantages would definitely go to Balochistan if Balochistan becomes independent. But it'll take some time to happen.
But sir, connectivity भी चाहिए ना, sir.
And I have also seen various writings as far as Balochistan is concerned, that you see majority of the people are not really pro independence or something. When I say majority, means bulk of the common public. The
Hmm.
voting percentage was 45%
Correct.
this time, which is 42%, which is lowest amongst all the provinces, but
Hmm.
not major
Good.
difference. Overall percentage was 46,
47.
Inca 40
40.
Inca. So people are taking part in these elections and all, but yes, it is the most sensitive of all. KPK that way has a little more, backing of Afghanistan if you look at it from that
There's a
point of view.
question. There's a question to that effect, so you can take on this also along with that.
Yeah,
KPK
yeah.
going out of control and Taliban becoming military wing of Pashtun PTI under Pashtun leader Imran Khan, and whose enmity is directed at Pak Punjabi army and Punjabis and threat of a what I think
Three bhag toot.
three
Yes,
Bhagtuts.
uh, it's a possibility. Will it happen with Imran in the lead? Something which I feel may not happen. If it
Correct.
happens, it will be some radical terror leader who would
Hmm.
emerge. Somebody like Akhundzada, or of that variety. Imran Khan may not be the wanted person there. Imran Khan would be, I don't think the Taliban leadership considers Imran Khan as a Salafi
Correct.
leader. See, the support which Imran Khan's party got, PTI got, was because they have no other option.
Correct.
The terror groups are not fighting elections, so people are
Mhm.
giving vote. People are giving vote to PTI because of its affinity to KPK, because of its origins in the KPK area. It is considered as a
Mhm.
Pashtun party, so therefore it got all the votes. But link it totally to the terrorist, that TTP, maybe a little overstretched imagination. If it
Mhm.
happens, this three bag tool, it will be purely driven by radical elements, not by Imran.
Sam Keating sir asked for
There
what
may be
purpose
people
will.
from PTI who will break through. I said there may be people from PTI who will break and go and join. That's possible.
Yes, yes, that's possible. Sam Keating sir asked for what purpose will Pakistan keep buying Chinese weapon if they are useless? Air defense can never intercept missiles. Jets don't work. RT quality is unknown. Yet recently they bought a submarine.
Okay. Since I was telling that I will not discuss quality out here, but
Yes.
let me tell you, I've been number of people who have been analyzing the Chinese equipment. They are coming of age, especially in the areas where digital technologies are concerned. Even in the other areas of weapons and equipment, they have improved quite a bit. Their older technologies were what you are trying to say, but now I think the Chinese are catching up fast, and let's not underplay their threat. These rankings, etc., are being given by world powers, which are, by analysts who are from CIPRI, etc. They actually look into these aspects in a much greater detail. So my view is, it is better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so let's give the devil its due. Let's give the devil its due. It has the equipment, it has the munitions, it can use it. If it fails, they have the numbers, right?
Yes.
Just
Sir,
compare the numbers. Just compare the
Mhm.
numbers. And they have a happy mix of state of the art to the vintage.
सर हथियार है सर सामने से he takes out even a desi kata. So we
Hmm.
don't know whether it's going to work or not. If it
Yeah,
doesn't work, it's
absolutely.
good. But अगर काम
Absolutely.
कर
See,
गया तो
and let's face the fact that not everything is bad. Not everything is bad
yes,
of the Chinese.
absolutely.
Chinese do have do are definitely increasing their capabilities.
Mhm.
See, most of them were sent to the US. Most of these their scientists, etc., have gone to the US. They've come back. They are putting
Correct,
back what they have learned there, and things
correct.
are improving. Yeah.
And reverse technology in any case, sir, they had access to
Yeah.
they
See,
had access to the
reverse
latest
techno-
technology by dual use.
re-
So you can't actually say that.
reverse technology, I would say they started doing it on the Russian equipment,
Yes, yes,
and then they switched over to the Western equipment.
absolutely.
I
So,
had
तभी
some
तो सर
photographs,
रशियन
I didn't get it. I had some photographs of their equipment, what they had reverse technology from the Russians, and now what they are doing it from the Western. जमीन आसमान का फर्क है.
absolutely.
जमीन आसमान का फर्क
It's
है.
it's better than the first copy, as they say.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's better than the first copy.
there's an observation. I will just flash this regarding. I think it's the comment. Okay, there is a comment on India's map in the presentation. We will look into it, maybe oversight, but possibly at that particular time it was conveying the sentiments in a better way than what was already available. But we'll take care in future. Thank you for
कौन सा
pointing
map?
out the mistake.
Which map was that?
Sir, one of the maps I think in my presentation there
Okay,
was there's possibly the borders ka issue hoga, sir. But
okay,
if it is there, we will make sure. But that map I had actually taken because it was conveying a meaning, sir. But we'll be more careful, sir.
yeah.
Again, a small little
You see,
concern of
this is a prob this is the problem with the maps as far as India is concerned. We still have the largest number of employees as far as Google is concerned. Google boss happened to be Indian, yet we are not correcting these maps. It's
hmm,
because of factors which are at play against India even today. No, the deep state is still
powerful.
against India. It works against India, irrespective of the government which is there in power. It's only the Indian maps. It is only the maps created by the Indians that has the full
Yes,
picture of India as we know it, and as we have learned about it, and as it
because
is propagated
uh,
by India.
preparing a fresh map probably takes up more time than doing that much of time we spend in our research. So that is the
No, but
reason.
definitely
But
your point is valid. Your point is valid, and we
we,
should be more careful
yes,
about
we
it.
will do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. China's friends are economically bankrupt and sinking ships, says Anil.
Yeah, they are economically bankrupt. They are a sinking ship, but that is the very reason why China can then extract. I told you the biggest problem for China is basing today. If it has to match up with the Americans,
Correct.
and where can you get the best of the bases? Where people have no option but to give them the real estate, and that's why there was one point in my presentation which talked about real estate. Real estate is important for China today, especially along the coastal lines.
Absolutely. Ask Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi walked down to Jaishankar to greet him specifically yesterday in Munich. How do you see the attitude, sir?
You see, these are you should never confuse diplomatic moves with some kind
Correct.
of a big change in the overall perspective between India and China or between any two countries. Diplomacy is very subtle.
Hmm.
Diplomacy is very subtle. The Chinese, like I said, are trying to find a space now in which they want to go ahead as far as economic relations between India and China are concerned.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they have not budged an inch as far as their claims along the line of actual control is concerned.
Hmm.
Have they given any leeway as far as Eastern Ladakh is concerned? Have they diluted the claims along the Indo-Bhutan-China boundaries? No.
No, no, they
Have
have
they
done.
have they come up with anything along the Arunachal boundary? No. So let's be very clear. These are signals with their perceived or with their partial aims of trying to get over their current problems. And I told you why the Chinese economy is in doldrums. If somebody is in doldrums, he will have to find some solutions. And India is the largest domestic market in the world,
Correct.
even larger than the Americans. So therefore, if the Chinese start losing market of India, you can imagine what China will have. So Wang Yi has
Absolutely.
to go, and sometimes these things are diplomatically done, courtesy walk-ups and shake hands.
We do it individually also, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. We go ahead, sir.
But let's. I mean, there is a worry on either side. There is a sense of need on either side. So
Correct.
maybe that is one of the reasons why the Chinese probably want to tone down their anti-India posturing.
So Shritik Kothari is saying, at what point does Pakistan's utility run out for China? And what does China do with this burdensome broke iron brother after this? Will Pakistan ever turn on China and say promote Uyghur terrorism?
See, as far as Pakistan turning on China and telling promote Ugarism, unlikely, unlikely, because Chinese survival is on Pakistani survival is on China. When will the Chinese turn down the or break away from the Pakistani relationship? When Pakistan army loses control over Pakistan, that's the benchmark. The day Pakistan army is unable to control Pakistan and its sovereignty, this thing will vanish. Or when the trend start happening in that
Hmm.
manner, it should not become a Yugoslavia. I mean, let's put it this way in a very simple example, that what happened to Yugoslavia a few decades back. That when that starts happening to Pakistan,
Yes.
China will turn its back. In fact, it may step
Sir,
in and control. It may step in and control certain areas.
what happened in 65, what happened in 71, and what happened in Kargil? So you can take it as an indicator, sir, that how China is going to behave
Yeah,
finally.
see, Kargil was a very limited war, so really, I
No, but
won't put it.
China used that opportunity to make his own roads and tracks in Eastern Ladakh.
Absolutely. No, I'm not saying. I said anything now in GB etc. is a tri-party issue, and that
Correct.
is why you find all three countries, especially China and India, walking a very cautious road on that side. We're not saying that we are
Sir,
giving up our claim, but
yeah,
definitely for everything, answer is not that straight away we go in for war. A war is a very serious business. You can start it,
absolutely.
but if you end it, very difficult. Hmm.
So we'll quickly go over. There are a few more questions. I don't want to disappoint anybody. Ask. It's clear that Pakistan army favors America over China. Yet the civvy street and radicalized clowns all want to bomb the same US that's been feeding them. Is this narrative deliberate or people dumb?
Uh, you see, US also enjoys some amount of mistrust.
Yes.
I mean, you would have heard of statements being made. It is difficult to be a enemy of the US, but it is even more difficult to be a friend of the US. You see, and I'm not actually trying to tell that US is bad or China is bad or so and so is good or so and so is not good. Any person, any country works based on its national interests,
Absolutely.
right? So if China is supporting Tata Modao, it is also supporting the rebels. So if the US is
Yes.
supporting the Pakistani army establishment, it may also be working behind to ensure that if this particular formation doesn't come into power, then they should not be starting from a scratch. They
Absolutely.
have their connectivities in these areas. So that is why these connectivities sometimes come up, surface up, and the people go against that particular country, and then they start doing things. You must watch what the policymakers are doing and not what the people are doing. And in any
Absolutely.
case, anything related to an external country, it doesn't disturb the internal dynamics that much, especially a country which is
Correct.
far away from your borders, right?
Last question of this
In
session,
any,
sir. Colonel
yeah,
RP Singh. China Pakistan military and strategic relationship continues to deepen. Similarly, India with US, similarly, US with Pakistan. What would be the role of US when China and Pakistan open two and a half front, probably against India? That's what he means.
It's a question which is asked often, that if there is a two, first of all, this half front business, I think that we need to be clear of. There is no more, I don't believe that there is something called half front now. The half front has merged with the two fronts.
Yes,
So if the Chinese are going to take any action against the Indians, against India, the hybrid warfare will be built into it. So if the Pakistani and Indians are going at war, the hybrid element will be built into it. In fact, now it is one plus one plus one. I would
yes,
put it as three front, especially because of the gray zone warfare, which has come up in a big way. The war will start even before the war has started,
correct.
and it will continue into the war and go beyond the war. As far as the US position is concerned, the current trends indicate of the US, even if you take Israel, even if you take Taiwan, where the US is pitching strongly for US and strongly for Israel and strongly for Taiwan. It is unlikely to put its direct support to you. It may give you diplomatic support. It may posture some forces, right? It may posture the Pacific Fleet in a manner that the Chinese are diverted, etc. These kind of things may happen, but to say that they will directly intervene with missiles or with firepower, etc., or with giving you support as of now, I don't think that is likely to materialize, at least in the current scenario. But yes, if things go towards the nuclear, I think there will be an active intervention.
Sir, I think we have covered most of the aspects. All I can say is that so far, before we had this program, uh, हमारे दिमाग में ये था कि it is a one-sided arrangement where Pakistan जो है he is using China as economical, political and military ticket for stability. Lekin now we understand that China has a lot to gain from the geostrategic location of Pakistan. Sir, thank you very much. We've had a lovely discussion, sir. And I think our
Thank
viewers
you.
also, I can see that live, our audience are coming live and our numbers are increasing. I will request all our audience who are watching now or later to please put the like button, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. It will encourage us to get more and more topics, latest in the topic. We will not, and like I keep saying, we will not add to the noise. We may get delayed by a day or so, but we'll thoroughly analyze a particular thing, find out facts and figures, and then only present it on our channel. Sir, thank you very much. Very soon we intend doing another program with you, which would be, now that you are heading a think tank, sir, which would be to ask that what is the role of think tanks, and we would request you to compare the quality
Yeah,
and the purpose of our think tank with US and China and UK, sir. So this is an advance information to our viewers. We'll request you to, conduct
thank you.
this program for us. Sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, last words from you, sir.
Thank, thank you, Jai Hind, Bhatia, and thanks to all the audience. Also, those who will be listening later on, please like, subscribe to Strive. It's one of the best channels which gives you everything in a neutral manner. We are not taking sides of anyone. We are not promoting any block or anything like that. We are giving assessments, and based on the assessments, you can make your call which way which way country will behave, or which way geopolitics will churn. So, with that, thanks a lot. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.